My name's Sam Mogannam, and I'm the second generation owner of Bi-Rite Market on 18th Street and the founder of the Bi-Rite family of businesses. How many people have been to one of the Bi-Rites or are familiar with Bi-Rite? Okay, so a lot of people. Right on. Cool. Right on. So for those of you who haven't, and those of you who have traveled to come here, thank you. We're a small family of food businesses. We've got 2 full-service neighborhood markets that source some of the best ingredients, the best tasting, and the most responsibly produced foods available in Northern California and beyond. We have a creamery called Bi-Rite Creamery, which was San Francisco's first ice cream shop to use local organic dairy, featuring Strauss family creamery up in Marin. We've got a cafe on the Civic Center Plaza, which has helped transform a blighted corner into an extraordinary destination with children and families and business people and government people hanging out together, side by side. We also have a catering company, a 3-acre farm in Sonoma, and a 1-acre orchard in Placerville in the Sierra foothills. And the farms are really a place for us to learn. It's a place for us to really understand how truly complicated and challenging it is to grow food organically and responsibly in soil. Also part of our family is a nonprofit that we started in 2008. It's a community cooking school called 18 Reasons, and I'll tell you a lot more about that in a bit. Bi-Rite's a values-based company. We're purpose-driven. And we're a certified B Corporation. Our values are really simple, and I think will resonate with most of us here because we're all food people. Our values are to lead with love, to pursue with passion, and to act with integrity, right? And these guide us with everything that we do every day. And our mission also, super simple, and it's our reason for existence. It's the reason behind everything we do. It's to create community through food, right? But it's complicated and it's a lot of work. The original market on 18th Street that I took over has been in my family since 1964, so 55 years now. And like most children of immigrants, I grew up working in the store. I started working there at 6. My mom would give me a little bag of food and a nickel, and I would get on the streetcar and take the streetcar down to the Mission by myself, feed my dad, and then my dad would literally have me start stocking the shelves and sweeping the floors and learning how to work on the register eventually. After 11 years of doing that, I graduated from high school, and I wanted nothing to do with the grocery business, and my dad was pissed. I fell in love with food. I wanted to be a cook. I fell in love with the intimacy that feeding people had, and I decided to become a chef. And so I spent the next several years cooking in several restaurants, and then at 23, I opened my first business, a restaurant not far from here in San Francisco's financial district. 7 years later, after realizing that we couldn't renew our lease, we had a pretty horrible landlord, we decided to close. And as one door closes, another one opened, and the opportunity for me to return to my family business came back, and I was given the chance to really reimagine what a grocery store, what a neighborhood market could be. When I came back to the market, and this is like the late 90s, the Mission was not what it is today. It was a very, very tough neighborhood. I mean, as a kid, I was held up at gunpoint twice. Dolores Park was never a spot you would go hang out in unless you wanted to score drugs, although you can still do that today. So some things really don't change. Our storefront, along with all the other storefronts along 18th Street, had metal grates over them. I mean, it was like a prison. I mean, you guys, we've seen neighborhoods like that, right, that have metal storefronts. And it was the first thing that I did was take down those metal grates. I really wanted to open up the space. And many of the old timers who lived in the neighborhood, and knew me as a kid, thought I was foolish. They were like, dude, your windows are gonna get broken into. But that wasn't the environment I wanted to create. And it was very symbolic because we took those down. And then as I was telling people that we were going to build a market that was, have a kitchen in it, and that we were going to cook food, and that we were going to source ingredients from farmers directly, they thought it was crazy, because this was new, it was novel, and hadn't existed in San Francisco at that point. But I didn't let that stop me. Our desire was to build a space for cooks, right? A place that was curated with a chef's perspective. We were buying from producers that cared, right? We weren't buying brands. Every grocery store at that time had aisles and aisles of Kellogg's and Campbell's. We weren't buying any of that product. And we staffed it with restaurant people who were passionate, who cared about food, and who cared, more importantly, about serving others. We focused on flavor and on creating an inspiring experience. And we quickly realized that Our job was not only to feed people, not only to feed our community, but also to teach them. And we wanted to empower them on their journey to learn about good food and to care about where their food was coming from and how it was being produced. It was an instant success because people were growing, they were learning, they felt that there was a trust with who they were buying their food from. They brought their families, they brought their friends. We raised the pride in the neighborhood, and we became a focal point in the community that we were operating in and attracted other like-minded businesses. You know, we're on the same block as Tartine Bakery and Delfina Restaurant. I mean, two of the best operators in the country. And those early years were amazing. We built so many lifelong relationships with our guests, with our staff, and with our producer community. And back then, in the early 2000s, I'm kind of aging myself, cell phones were still pretty dumb. And most of the connection that we were making with each other was happening in a very physical way. It was still very analog. But things were changing pretty fast being in San Francisco. And as technology was advancing, I was getting more and more disturbed at how disconnected people were getting with each other, how glued they were to their devices. They'd be on the phone while they were shopping. They'd be on the phone while we were trying to serve them. And they were becoming less and less aware of their surroundings. And more disturbing, they were becoming less and less aware of the people around them. It was a bummer. And I was noticing also that our prepared food sales were growing at a faster rate than our produce and meat sales. At first, as a cook, I was proud. I was like, oh my God, people are coming in droves to the market to buy our prepared foods. It was validation of how good it was. But I realized, and I say this with trepidation, as my livelihood relies on it, that our community was becoming too reliant on others to cook for it. And worse, because it keeps you in your home, it keeps you at your desk, it keeps you away from physically connecting with others. They were expecting that food to be delivered to them whenever they wanted it, right to their kitchen table. They didn't even want to leave their couch. We're outsourcing one of the most important community building acts and environmental impact acts that we can engage in every day. And what's worse is we're entrusting a capitalistic system that only cares about the bottom line to do it. And the results show, right? I mean, several people here have been talking about our health, the rates of obesity and diabetes are increasing. Community cohesion and community resilience is weak. Our planet's devastated. And cooking and eating responsibly has a direct impact on these outcomes. I mean, Linda, where is she? Yeah, you said it earlier. We lost this ability to cook, right? We've lost this motivation to cook as a society, and it's having a massive impact on us. Because when we don't cook, right, we don't shop for ourselves. And then when we don't shop, we have no idea where our food's coming from. Right? Think about that, right? And by not cooking, we're depriving ourselves of that joy and that pleasure, right? That sensory pleasure that comes from transforming raw ingredients into something that's absolutely delicious. But most importantly, when we don't cook, we miss out on that time at the table with our children, with our family, with our friends, being together, sharing our passions, sharing our love, right? Because that's truly the most effective way that we can connect and to strengthen the relationships we have with each other. Instead, we end up eating processed crap, right? And eating it in our cars, eating it at our desks, and eating it on the run. And with the rates of obesity and diabetes and heart disease continuing to grow, we can't expect our communities to thrive unless we reverse these trends. We can't expect children to grow and be productive if they aren't getting the nutrition they need to feed their brains and their growing bodies. These food-related health issues are plaguing us. The reliance on cheap, fast, and convenient food is breaking our communities apart. I mean, this is a major problem that's all around the world. I mean, I was just surprised to hear that 60% of Egypt is dealing with obesity. I mean, it's awful. How can we expect to feed our cities if the people living in the cities can't feed themselves, right? So, but we decided to do something about it. We stepped up our game. We put more emphasis on teaching our staff how to cook so they in turn could be better teachers to our guests. I wrote a book called Eat Good Food that guides the reader through the grocery store and teaches them how to shop for and how to cook good food. We bring kids in from the local schools to our markets to teach them about fresh food, hoping to inspire them to make simple changes in their lives. And because we wanted to go even deeper, 11 years ago, we started an education space called 18 Reasons. It's a nonprofit community classroom where every year, 3,000 of our neighbors come together. They gather around a table, away from their devices, connect face-to-face, human to human. 18 Reasons is a place where our guests get to meet each other, right? They get to meet our farmers, they get to meet our ranchers and cheesemakers, the people that make their food, right? That grow their food so they can personally know where their food's coming from and how it's being made. It's a place where we always break and share bread, and we do it every night of the week. We also started a series of classes to teach the basics of cooking, how to hold and use a knife, how to cut up a chicken and all the wonderful dishes that you can make from that single bird, how to make simple yet nourishing soups and stews. These classes may seem basic to many of us, but they're not being taught. These are skills that are getting rarer and rarer in our communities as the illusion and the allure of modern food conveniences diminishes our desire to learn them. The coolest thing is that these classes always sell out. And our community is so grateful that we're doing this. And in order to serve a wider audience, we take the income that we earn from teaching these classes on 18th Street, and we offer another program called Cooking Matters. It's a series of 6 two-hour-long classes that take place every week where we teach for free in underserved communities all around the Bay Area students who want to attend these classes. The classes are taught by certified nutritionists and chefs in schools, churches, community spaces, and senior centers, in their communities, right? In the space that they feel most comfortable. We teach children, teens, adults, and seniors of all races and economic status. And we teach the classes both in English and in Spanish, and focus on improving personal health through diet, and teach the basics of feeding a family on a budget. At the end of each class, the students get to take home a bag of groceries with the same ingredients that they learned to execute that recipe at home, so they can actually cook, practice, feed their friends, feed their family. And the expectation is that when they come back to the next class, they share with each other the successes and the failures that they had cooking at home, so they can actually empathize and learn from each other's experiences and gain that confidence that they need. With Cooking Matters, we teach over 3,500 students a year through this program for free. And many of the teachers we employ are ex-students, as we found that the greatest success by having teachers that are peers from within the communities that we're teaching. And at the end of the 6-week course, the students graduate and they receive a certificate of completion at an awards ceremony. At that graduation ceremony, I'm always so inspired by the students' transformation. It's amazing to see the pride in them, right? They've completed something. And more importantly, it's amazing to see the relationships that they've built with each other. It becomes a happy place for them, and they miss it. They want to keep coming back, but we don't. We stop the classes after 6 weeks so we can enroll another set of students. And through these classes that we've learned that many of our students are struggling with the basic understanding of how to navigate through this grocery store and to shop. And so we started a new program called the Promotora program. And it's the same peers that take their students through the grocery store, and it's the grocery store that they shop in their community, so they can learn actually how to shop better. We teach them how to read labels, how to buy fresh food, and how to successfully eat better, to eat healthier. This program has proven so successful that other nonprofits around the country have borrowed our curriculum and are teaching communities these same vital skills. And based on the surveys we conduct with our students, the classes are having a tremendous impact. Many of our younger students' eating habits have changed. They're eating whole wheat pasta. We'd never touch the brown stuff, right? They're loving broccoli and they're loving kale. I'm going to quote one of our 8-year-old students because this quote is so amazing. My favorite part of class was spending time with new people and learning how to cook and to make healthy choices. I mean, this is an 8-year-old, right? Our children want this. They need it, right? But we're not taking the time to do it. And the quantitative results are even better. After a course, our adult and teen graduates report that 63% are eating more vegetables, 51% have improved their cooking skill confidence, and 98% would share the things that they learned in this course with others that inspired. And our child graduates report that 45% are more confident that they can make snacks with fruits and vegetables. 36% are more confident that they can talk to their parents about healthy cooking or eating. And 37% are more confident that they can make healthy choices at the grocery store or when they go out to eat. These classes are empowering. By teaching these classes, we're giving our students the confidence and creativity they need to buy, cook, and eat good food every day. Knowledge has proven to be one of the most impactful weapons to shape a more sustainable future. And with this knowledge, we can take control of our health, we'll feel better, we can be more productive, and forge our way forwards and upwards. And this work is hard, it takes time, but we're committed to it. And unless all of us here are committed to removing the barriers that exist and to build the tools to empower others, it will be impossible for our communities and for our cities to continue to thrive. Right? And so I applaud all of the work that all of you are doing and everybody who's spoken today, because you're all kicking ass. So thank you so much.